Chapter 14. Ratchet told me about your situation. Optimus gently broke the silence again. Yeah. Sam felt like her brain had short-circuited. Really? That's the best she could come up with? Embarrassment was starting to creep in, tying her stomach in knots. Sam couldn't help but feel like she was going to further embarrass herself if the conversation continued like this. What would Optimus think of her? She tried not to think down that avenue, though, because she felt like she might just try to run back to the medbay and hide. I can only imagine the shock. Genuine sympathy echoed in Optimus's voice. Are you settling in well? Those brilliant blue eyes were on her. I think so, yeah. Sam breathed out, trying not to make eye contact. If she met his eyes, she was afraid she would do something stupid, like get lost in them and forget to answer him or something. On top of that, a nervousness was setting in and she wasn't sure how to hold herself or how to talk to him. She had never met anyone like him. I am glad. Optimus inclined his head. I wanted to ask something of you. Okay? The word came out as a near squeak, and Sam felt like she was going to combust on the spot. In the background, Bumblebee and Bluestreak exchanged a look. Would you tell me more of your world? Where you're from? Perhaps if we know more, we can utilize that to find out how you came here. And if you like, how to send you home. Optimus's low rumble was soothing, and Sam was pretty sure that was the only reason she hadn't gone running or had a heart attack. I mean, I guess I can, Sam nodded. There may be a chance. We have even visited your planet before. Optimus looked hopeful. Very well. I will visit you in my off time to speak with you further on the matter. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. With Sam's confirmation, Optimus gave her a regal nod, stood, and made his way out of the garden. He left her there, stunned on the bench. Would Sam ever get used to that? To him? Sam didn't know how long she sat on that bench, but she was brought back to the present when something nudged at her. Almost like when you finish eating and your brain tells you you're full, or when you just sense a ball flying at the back of your head. An almost sixth sense. Standing and taking a look at her surroundings, Sam tried to address the feeling. Surprise followed. Well, her butt wasn't numb. Followed by a sense of heartwarming. Both children were still trying to sleepily play, movements sloppy and slow. They were more than ready to lay down for bed. Kneeling, Sam scooped Bluestreak into one arm awkwardly, given her size, but when she went to gather up Bumblebee, he was already being held. Jazz cradled the other baby in his arms, grinning widely at her. Hesitantly, she shifted so Bluestreak was in both her arms, his borderline limp body more stable now. Need some help? Jazz looked all too pleased with himself. Thanks, yeah, I'd appreciate that. Sam agreed. She couldn't feasibly get two dead-weight children back to the medbay on her own. The frame she had was just too small. Awesome, let's head that way then. Cheerful, Jazz almost danced along the path, humming, swinging his hips, doing fancy footwork. Bumblebee seemed used to it, though, if she were to judge by his sleepy giggles. It made Sam smile. Jazz had a natural charisma, and he was the chaotic uncle of this strange little family she had found herself in. So, how'd your talk with the big boss go? Sam almost choked. Of course Jazz would bring that up. Who else would? He had waited till she was walking alongside him before he had popped the question, making certain she was trapped. Rude. It went fine. Sam tried to brush him off. Pah! Fine. I'd hate to see your version of boring, the Silverbot cackled. You looked like you had swallowed your Glossa and a few of your Denta. Sam felt her face heating up again. Had it been that bad? It couldn't have been that boring. You still watched and spied, she accused. No, I did that because I thought you might need help, Jazz grinned, shaking his head. And I was right. They exited the garden into a busy but not too crowded hallway. I don't need help, Sam argued. He just wanted to ask about stuff. She hoped Jazz hadn't caught that part of their conversation. There wasn't a way to know if he was in on the secret or not, so it was better to be safe rather than sorry. Yeah, but I can tell you like him. Jazz elongated the word like, practically singing in the hallway. Shh! Sam bared her teeth at him, trying to emphasize that he could shut up. Some bots were staring in the hallway at him, confused, and glancing her way. Sam did not like it. Oh, come on, Sam. Everyone can see it, Jazz giggled, reminding her of a giddy schoolgirl. I don't know what you're talking about, Sam frowned. Was it that obvious? Regardless, she wasn't going to admit it to him. Jazz was never going to let her live it down if she did. Fine. Be online in denial, Jazz sighed. Sam rolled her eyes at him. Overdramatic much? Jazz, just chill. I haven't even been here that long. I haven't even met most of the base's crew. You think I'm already scouting out a mate? Sam struggled to remember the word for a moment before it came to her. Ratchet's little lessons here and there were paying off. Everyone has a thing for Prime. If you don't, something is going on, you know? Jazz gave her a side eye of disbelief. And I've seen how you look at him. Are you calling me a liar? Jazz, look. Sam sighed as they came up to the medbay doors, stopping and turning to him for a full confrontation. Yeah? Jazz grinned, coming to a full stop as well, though he just turned his head instead of his whole body. I'm not interested. I want to get stable, take care of Blue, and deal with the war first, okay? Sam willed her voice to get across her pleading. All right, his smile fell. I getcha. But, Sam, I think OP might have a thing for you too, you know? I just got a good feeling. Jazz, no. Sam kept her voice firm and her face stern. Right now wasn't the time to go chasing after a man. All right, I'll back off, Jazz sighed. Come on, let's get these little ones to bed. Sam sighed in relief. She didn't think he was going to drop it that easy, given how persistent she had heard Jazz could be. It felt like the right move, though, holding off on a relationship until much later. After all, Sam had only just recently figured out what planet she was even on. The med bay was empty except for Ratchet sitting at the back on some kind of computer with a hologram-like screen. He didn't even raise his head to greet them, but then again it looked like he was working on something important. Not that Sam could tell, she couldn't even tell what the strange symbols on the screen were. Jazz carefully settled Bumblebee into one of the far wall med berths, and Sam followed after with Blue Streak. Once the two sparklings were laying on the same med berth, they cuddled together. Sam could see the moment they both fell asleep fully, snuggled in together. It was the cutest and sweetest thing Sam thought she had ever seen. Reaching out, she ran a hand over their little heads, making them chirp and purr in their sleep. Have a good recharge, Sam. Jazz touched her shoulder, utilizing only 2 of his fingertips. You too, Jazz. Sam gave him a little smile. She watched him leave the med bay. Despite his pushiness and his high energy, Sam really did appreciate him. Jazz, along with the Terra twins, had done their best to make her feel welcome and at home, showing her several beautiful spots on the base and trying to get her to forget about the horrible war going on outside. But Sam couldn't forget. That night, when she lay down on the med berth, the nightmares came. Horrific, vivid, all too real nightmares of her standing on the battlefield again, running, trying to get to safety. Behind her, there was the sound of several people flying after her, jeering something angrily she couldn't quite make out. Destroyed buildings kept getting in her way, and corpses littered the ground, burnt, twisted, and bloody. They reached for her, with unseeing eyes and wide-open mouths as though still screaming for mercy. The buildings in her way kept getting bigger and bigger, making it harder and harder for her to get through. At one point, a building was so big she couldn't reach the window to escape her pursuers and the corpses dragging themselves. Sam desperately kept jumping for the opening, but it was simply too far away, and the corpses started to drag themselves up her body. They were heavy and painful. Charred, broken fingers stabbed into every crevice and crack, opening her armor up as they forced their entire body weight up her. It wasn't long until Sam couldn't stay standing anymore. Her own body was dragged among them, and her screams were muffled by their hands. This was it. They were going to kill her. She was going to die, and there was nothing she could do about it. Their mouths open wide, revealing broken and craggy sharp teeth. Sam was going to be eaten. Zombie robots were going to eat her, and there was nothing Sam could do about it. She struggled, but her limbs just felt heavier and heavier. Sam was being dragged further and further into the bodies, her own form becoming more and more restricted. Then there was a flash of purple robot eyes, and she woke up. Shooting up in the med berth with a harsh gasp of fresh air, Sam clawed at the berth under her. If she were still human, she was certain she would be covered in a thick, cold sweat over her entire body. Sam's chest heaved for breath, and a soft whirring noise started up from inside of her, kind of like a computer's internal fans kicking on to cool it off. Slowly, Sam curled over herself, bringing her knees up so she could wrap her arms around them. If she closed her eyes, she could still see them so clearly. It made her thankful that she didn't need to close her eyes if she didn't want to. "Are you all right? You look like you've been fighting cons in your sleep." The soft murmur coming out of the shadows startled Sam, making her jump in fear. I... She choked and got tangled up in what to say, her mind still racing from the nightmare. "Easy now, it's just me." Ratchet came further into the soft lights that radiated from small points around the med bay, where Sam could see him clearly. Ra... She couldn't seem to say his name. It was stuck on repeat, the first few sounds coming out of her mouth over and over again. Sam's armor was starting to rattle together from her shaking, making soft metal-on-metal noises in the quiet medbay. "Oh, youngling." The medic made his way closer, his metal brows furrowed. "It's okay, you're safe now." Sam let out a sound similar to a warble, a sound similar to the ones Bluestreak had made when she found him. "It's all right, I've got you." Ratchet sat on the edge of the med berth and gently drew her into his arms. His presence was warm, comforting, and protective. Sam was safe here. Nothing was going to get her. The robot zombies weren't going to eat her alive. They weren't going to get past Ratchet. She did her best to tuck in tighter, her fingers scrabbling and digging into whatever crevices she could find. One arm wrapped around her firmly, and the other started to do a gentle stroking motion along her back. He was mindful of her wings, careful to stay along the side of them or down the middle. "It's okay. It's okay. It's all over. You're safe." Ratchet murmured softly against Sam's head. He slowly rocked them back and forth, trying his hardest to both comfort her and ground her. Sam squeezed her eyes closed and clung to him. She ignored the beeping warnings in her vision that weren't really there. Phantom touches of what she had been through before still lingered. Ratchet held her, rocked her, and soothed her for hours, until Sam finally fell back into recharge, still tucked up against him and clinging to him. The medic continued, however, long after she was no longer online. His jaw clenched and relaxed repeatedly. Just what had happened to this poor Femma? What had she and Bluestreak suffered through?